All-Star Weekend's just around the corner, and I see a lot of people angry and up in arms about the fact Joel Embiid is not starting. Now, if we just look at the East, the starting pool of the East, we've got Kevin Durant, Giannis, Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, and Donovan Mitchell. Now, where on earth does he start here? Who does he start over? I get people saying that, Giannis isn't a center. He hasn't played center in 4 years. But if you go to his NBA positions, he's a center / power forward. So he can play the center. Okay, so he's not going to be ahead of Giannis because he's the captain. So let's talk about Kevin Durant. And the way the whole system's set up, and you might hate it, and yeah, it is pretty stupid, that it should be changed to best players. But I think even if it was best players, you're not saying that Kevin Durant is not being a starter in this year's All-Star. You're just not. Then you go over to who was leading the MVP race for most of the year so far, in Jason Tatum. So which one does he start over? It's definitely not Durant. It can't be Giannis. Maybe Tatum, but he's not as good as Tatum. And that's the thing. He's not going to get the fan votes to be over Kevin Durant. He's not popularity enough to be over Kevin Durant. And he's not skilled enough to be over Tatum. And he's not either to be over Giannis. And people go, it's just a popularity contest. It's not fair. Because all of these high-level organizations are out there, and their community are much higher and bigger. And in some cases, that's true. Tatum is one of the biggest as at the Celtics, which is one of or the biggest marketing compared to what you see. Could be also the Knicks or the Lakers, but it's up there. Celtics are up there, one of the biggest organizations in the whole NBA organization. But then you look at the captain, Giannis. He has started at a nothing organization. They're not huge at all. Philadelphia is a bigger marketing place than Milwaukee Bucks. It's just a fact. And another thing as well, and he says that he is the MVP of last year. He's just not. I mean, the Joker is better than him. Who was averaging a triple-double? He's insane. You average those points, you're going to get those results. And this year, Jokic will probably get it again. Or it could be Tatum, or it could be Mitchell. But I don't think that Mr. Embiid is as close as he is to it. And a lot of people disagree, and I understand that. He's great. You look at his stats and he averages over 30, and he gets a double-double with his rebounding being up there, and his assists not even being that bad either. But then you watch his game, and it's not just the box scores that you see, it's the way he plays. Anyone can drive to the basket and take those free throws. That's where his scoring comes from. Yes, he's a great shooter behind the arc as well, and he's got a lot of time and effort into those. And he hits shots, but majority of his scoring comes at that line. And you can say, look, Giannis is around the same, but Giannis is one of the best drivers that we've ever seen of the basketball. He's almost in LeBron type when it comes to driving the ball. He's just so big in presence, it's ridiculous. And then you go, what about those rebounds he gets? He gets a crazy amount of rebounds. He can get that board. Of course he should get that board. He's over 7 feet tall. Look at everyone else in the centers. They're all getting boards. Steven Adams are getting boards. He's in the West. It doesn't make much sense in that point. But if you go over to the East, you've got Giannis, which is getting boards. You've got Allen, which is getting boards. And you've got Sabonis, which is getting boards. You've got so many centers out there that are all getting boards because they're so tall. Of course they're going to get boards. That's what they're there for. He isn't a starter over Giannis. That's just fact because he's a captain, right? And if you can have someone play the 4 who's on the caliber like Kevin Durant or even Jason Tatum, well, Jason Tatum will likely play the 3, and that'll be it. And he's not getting a guard spot. What are you going to do? Drop Kyrie for him? Of course not. You're going to drop Mitchell for him? No way. But there is true snubs in it. I really think Shai should have started. But I do understand, of course he isn't. He isn't on the level of Luka. Luka is better than him. He's not a center or a bigger guy, so he's not going to take the Zion's place. He's not going to take LeBron James' place. And he's not going to take Nikola Jokic's spot either. So you look at the one spot he should and could take, and that's the point guard spot, which is led by Steph Curry. He should be starting over Stephen Curry, and that's just a fact. Regardless of his skill level, of course Curry is a better player, and of course he's more popular. That's why he gets the spot. That's a true snub. Shai is more of a snub than Embiid. You look and you go, oh, but what about KD? KD's been injured too. What's that got to go with it? Before KD got injured, he was MVP caliber, and he hasn't been injured for very long. Steph Curry, yeah, he was balling when he first came out. He's balling right now. He deserves to be an all-star. And there's an argument he should be starting. But Shea's been consistent and played a majority of the games, and he's been one of the best players out the West. That's where it differs. Embiid's also been injured. He doesn't get his own he doesn't earn his baskets. He doesn't hit them. And people are saying these rebounds and all that defensive efforts. Duke is clammed. You watch him, and he's just a baby with it. He hits people behind the play, and he's dirty, and the umpires just love him. The refs do love that man. And if you look at the most recent game, let's just go to the Philly game. Yes, he dominated, and of course he's going to dominate. He's versing someone who's only 25 years old, but reminder, Nick Claxton dropped 25 in his head and blocked him a few times and did a lot of stops on him. And then if you look just at his emotional status, he blames everything that happens that's wrong with the team on everyone else. But at the end of the day, you got to blame someone of him. The mistakes he has made over the club, if he didn't make them, Philly would have won some chips by now. They would have won the championship against the Raptors if he just let Simmons guard Kawhi. And that's just a fact. Embiid is one of the worst players and worst team players. He's horrible for chemistry. But people just turn a blind eye because scoring and stats cure everything. Because he's putting these numbers up, everyone just goes, yeah, he's doing his part. He's one of the best players on our team. He is the best player. He's number one. How dare we even question that just because of the scoring he puts up? Of course he's a starter. Look at the scores he's putting up. But there's more to basketball than just your box score. Every player is putting up numbers. Every player is putting up the numbers he has. But it's different. You look at performance-based improvements they make on the whole team as a whole. What they bring. Is it competitive? Is it better than on their brother over the side of them? And it's just not the case. If you pick out of their team right now, who would you rather? Embiid, Maxey, Harden. You get to pick one of those players. A lot of people pick Embiid there, and they go, of course, it's a no question. But if you really look at it going forward, if you want to win a championship, Embiid is not your man there. Embiid is not MVP caliber. I don't think he'll ever be MVP caliber until he takes responsibility of how he plays and what he can bring to a team on a team sense. Don't blame the coach. Don't blame Harden because he's not the player he used to be. Is what he blamed last year in the playoffs. Don't forget, he comes out and he doesn't say, we didn't play good enough. He goes, Harden's just not the player he is anymore. He needs to get better. He needs to get fitter. All that. Didn't put any accountability on himself. And you go the year before that, you got Ben Simmons, who made a couple mistakes, and he goes, it's all Ben Simmons' fault. He's never been that guy. And then the coach also puts heat on Ben Simmons, saying he will never win a championship being a point guard for a team. Who does that to a player? And then he had the whole city go against Ben Simmons because, why? Because he puts up some scores? He is not the man. Honestly, if they got rid of Joel Embiid and they started again, they go after a rebuild. If they got rid of Embiid, Harden would go. There's cap space now. And Philly is a place that everyone wants to be. Philly is you can be the most loved player out of all basketball playing for Philly. You can be the most hated player playing there, depending how you go. But it's an ultimate position for such a superstar talent of players. Imagine if they get rid of all that. Just go straight for scratch, go draft picks and gamble for Bronny and hope that LeBron comes there. And they have Bronny, they have a marketing sense, and they have a long-term prospect in Bronny. And that's saying all things go well with Bronny and he actually comes half of what his dad could be. But it's not even just that. They could go for anyone, any team player. They should have never lost Jimmy Butler. They should have kept Jimmy Butler, have Ben Simmons play the 1 and Jimmy play the 2, and get rid of Embiid and find a center caliber like an Allen. I don't understand what's the hype over Embiid. I went on a huge tangent about Embiid, and it's more about the All-Star caliber. This year, of course, he's put up the numbers like I've said constantly. He's always going to put up numbers. But guess what? Kevin Durant has put up numbers too. Giannis has put up numbers. And Tatum's put up numbers. You look at team impact, you look at overall better player, you look at popularity in the sense of the NBA All-Star votes, and all three, every single day, are ahead of Embiid. Now that's all I've got to say over the fact of Embiid and all that. I'll make more NBA videos going forward. I have a Ben Simmons one coming out very soon. So keep watch, press subscribe, comment. If you like Embiid or a Philadelphia fan, there's no hate or aimless there. I just don't think that if your team wants to be successful and actually go for a championship run, that Embiid's your man. But if you disagree, fair enough. Please subscribe to my channel nonetheless. Leave a comment, share with all your friends, and have a good night. Enjoy the NBA tomorrow. Enjoy all sports coming up. It's a great weekend for sport. And yeah, thank you for listening.